take that back. I'm sorry.
Okay, good. I was confused.
Yep, I take that back.
It'd be the buyer's.
That would be the buyer's responsibility, okay? But, you know, again, that's your decision. Did I confuse anybody with that conversation that Carol and I just had? Because I got confused there a little bit. I apologize. Okay? Any other questions? FCA, X works.
I just have a comment on either one of these. I mean, we're going to load the truck. We're not going to let somebody else come in to
That's
our
right.
house
That's right.
and load the truck.
That's right.
So it is still our responsibility.
No, it's not.
Well, and if we damage it, we'll pull it off and put stuff back. I mean, that's
You're going to do that. Technically, you don't have to.
if we damage the truck. When we put the forklift right through the side of the truck or the container.
Technically, it's, you know, but again,
Maybe there's a method to his madness.
well, but wait a minute. I could tell you as a trucking company that if I put my truck at your dock and you put something through the side of it and tell me that, you know, go to the guy in China, we're going to have some problems. Okay? Relationships, yeah. Any other questions? Okay. Those two are pretty easy. They're pretty easy to follow. Again, you know, you could turn FCA into X Works and get all the benefits the same way. So I understand, and I hear this all the time. There's a salesman that wants it this way. Okay. I think you've got a lot of information here that just ask them why. Why do you want to do it? What do you need? Because I think you could give him everything he needs in this term.
You're the only one who said you have power of attorney from your customer. I mean, everybody's so happy that we do our own AESs, but we didn't realize that we needed that.
Sure.
So,
Yep.
you know, we were at rest.
It would be the same way as you calling me up and saying, I want you to do an AES for me. The very first thing I would say to you is, okay, I'll do it. I'm going to send you over a power of attorney form. Okay? Let's go to the third term. Free alongside ship. Seller is responsible. Provide goods, commercial invoice, packaging, and shipping. Seller is responsible for the export license. Seller has no obligation to provide for main carriage of goods or for insurance. Main carriage meaning the vessel. Has no responsibility for that. The seller has a responsibility to deliver the goods alongside the ship at the named port of shipment. If the buyer has not stipulated a specific loading point at the named port of shipment, the seller may pick one that suits the seller's purpose. Okay, so if you're using FAS, you're doing the booking, or your forwarder is doing the booking. Okay, make sure that all that information gets given to your seller. Normally, again, it depends on your relationship with your forwarder. Your forwarder would contact the seller direct. Risk transfers alongside the ship. Seller pays all costs till the goods have been delivered alongside the ship. Have to notify the buyer. Delivery has been made. All packaging, still a responsibility to seller. Questions about the seller's responsibility? Let me just review a few things here. Is there anybody that uses free alongside ship? Okay. It's not a common term. I'll tell you why. Where the goods are in a container, it is typically for the seller to hand the goods over to the carrier at a terminal and not alongside the vessel. In such a situation, FAS rule would be inappropriate. Okay? So, free alongside ship is used more for large equipment, flat racks, something that you're going to bring right to the ship. It used to be a very popular term prior to containerization when freight was really loaded onto a ship right from the seller. Today, freight goes into containers, which go to freight yards. Okay? Let me tell you the risk here. If you use FAS, free alongside ship, and your freight forwarder takes the container and puts it in a container yard, and that container sits in that container yard for 3 weeks, who's going to get hit with the demurrage bill? The seller. Your buyer just used 3 weeks of warehousing at your expense. Okay? So, this is I'm not going to say it's an outdated term because it's not. It just doesn't have as many uses as it used to. I mean, if you're using a roll-on, roll-off, you know, if you're selling cars, if you're selling machinery, farm equipment, something that you're putting right onto that, it's leaving your facility going right to the ship, this might be a term that you might want to think about. But if you're using containers, it's probably not a good term. Let me just check my notes here, make sure there's nothing else. Any other questions or comments about free alongside ship? Okay. Is everybody following on the chart? above. You can see where the carriage, the risks, and the costs still pretty much, they all start and end at the same points. Okay? Okay. Free on board.